cut through the lies, mind control, propaganda, spin, doom, gloom, you name it. That is the world we live in as presented to us through our friends, through our family even, because they're steeped in it like a bag of tea in hot water, right? Infused with the spirit of the age, with the zeitgeist, with the nonsense, misdirection, deceit, lies, you name it, right? The simple believe every word, but the prudent man or woman looks well to his going. That's from Proverbs 14:15. And we're here to look well to our going because we aren't going to believe every word. We have seen in the past week or so, which I've talked about since June 5th, 2019 AD, in the Sludge Report side project, that be careful how you receive this. They're lying to you. Mind control is all around us. They're working us over. Look over here, look over there. You know, it's easy to go through this world and feel that the beautiful newscasters and their beautiful sets, speaking with their charismatic voices and speaking with authority and seem to be in the know and seem to be a network of people who are upstanding and good. They present themselves as paragons of virtue, and because they're scoffers and scorners, they'll dig up those who fall, those who stumble, or those who are exposed as in humanity, and shake their heads and cluck. I saw it yesterday with the creature Hoda something. I don't have the clip pulled up. No, I saw it this morning thinking about it, about the FBI raid on Epstein's Island, Little St. James. And maybe that was it. I think that was it. And you know, at the end of the segment, she's just shocked and dismayed and cluck, 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 shaking her head. The man hadn't been through due process. Not really. But what does that do? It's called virtue signaling. Have you heard of this? Yeah. You condemn someone else to make yourself look good. And that's what goes on. That's another level of mind control and deception, where because the paradigm that is perpetually perpetrated on us, paradigm we're being instructed to believe, is that these people are the good. Even though they're workers, they're minions, they're not at the top of the cabal, they're part of the problem. Most of them. If they aren't, if they rebel against it, they bounce. They're made into the worst pariahs. Okay, so anyway, I'm saying all that because the rich, the powerful, the celebrated, the celebrities, and even the news people get celebrated, right? The newsmen, the newswomen. But if they're participating in the deceit, they're participating in the oppression of the poor, the oppression of good, the oppression of truth, not just oppression of the poor, they're wicked and lost. But be encouraged, because the evil bow before the good and the wicked at the gates of the righteous. So never be intimidated. Be righteous in Christ. Gird up your loins. Put on the helmet of salvation and the breastplate of his righteousness, and the girdle of truth. Learn how to use the sword of the Spirit, which is the word. And the evil will bow before the good and the wicked at the gates of the righteous. Never be intimidated. Never feel inferior. Not to these people. No siree, Bob. Right? So, let me encourage you about your God, those who are believers and saved through Christ and his blood. He's the river and the riverbank into which you are planted and from which you flourish. Did you wake up hungry for any of the word today? Or did you wake up and have your breakfast, your coffee, look at the paper, click on your phone, look at the news, Let's be mindful what we feed on or what we're hungry for, right? What are we hungry for? As we go through the news today, let's remember that the Lord laughs and amused at those who rage against him and try to outwit him. And those who rage and oppress and try to outwit you, brothers and sisters. And they're doing that, outwitting you, outwitting me. Well, insofar as they can, insofar as we don't recognize what's going on, I watch, and it's actually a bit discouraging to me because I see even people who seem to see the truth still not seeing some of what's really going on. Case in point, the quote unquote, the air quote conspiracy theory about whether Epstein was murdered, whether he committed suicide. Now we're hearing about shrieks coming from his cell, taken off suicide watch. People who worked there or were incarcerated there saying that's impossible, that he would have been able to kill himself. They're given paper, clothing or blankets or whatnot. There's no way he could suspend himself, you know. The photos that don't look like him, we're supposed to believe is his dead body. The reports of someone working in the prison, of him being wheeled out in a wheelchair and a military personnel in a van. Basically, he was replaced or something like that. You know, just rumors, I guess. Rumors. Call them rumors. You've got a CIA intelligence officer, or former, he claims, telling us that it's some deep-level 3D chess Trump deal and he's been spirited off to Israel as part of some Mossad, FBI, just, you know, blah, blah, blah. To give the QAnons and the ever-Trumpers further fodder for their foolish beliefs. I like alliteration sometimes. But beloved, God alone is your shield, your glory, and your hope. It's your only hope, and my hope too. He alone can lift our heads when we're bowed in shame for our sin, bowed in shame for our ignorance, bowed in shame for our disobedience to him. He watches over us, even as we sleep, even when we're unaware, and he sends salvation and gives joy to all his people. And I'm here to help give you at least the tinder, the kindling, the spark even maybe, to ignite your joy in the Lord. For the joy in the Lord is our strength. Now, let's bring this back to the Drudge Report, or your news aggregate feed, whatever you get your sewage stuff from, get your lies from. Let's bring it back to that. When I started this a couple months ago, I did doom dots, and I'm using a different format for broadcasting, so I can't really put overlays on the screen and draw on the screen. And we saw the ratio percentages always over 50%, whether even it's a nonsense story or something that actually may be something that it's good to be aware of, at least what's happening. It's always doom, gloom, uncertainty, fear. Fear is a big one. Be afraid. Be very afraid. Obey. Watch the movie They Live. There's a lot of obey as well. A lot of subtext is obey. A lot of subtext is be afraid. A lot of subtext is the state is your savior. Make no mistake about it. But the joy of the Lord is our strength. But these things weaken us. And I'll tell you what else weakens you. You know, we're to build our house upon a rock. Truth is a rock. And you believe a lie. You're really in danger. Let's not believe a lie. And let's recognize the purveyors of the media, the entertainment, the truth, the news, the purveyors of the media, the entertainment, and the news, and the political reports coming out of wherever. Who's behind all that? Who's really running that stuff? Who is giving the final say of what can be said, what is not said, and when it's said? Subtext. context, non-text, right? Who is it? Well, Luciferians, and you start at the top with Lucifer and you come on down the pike through all the various groups. And a big one who owns the media, the entertainment industry, well, I showed you some books yesterday maybe you ought to look into. I'll just, for right now, let's just call them, until I come up with a better term, Talmudians. You've heard of the Talmud, right? Talmudians. Babylonians. Come out of her, my people. Do not eat their dainties, right? Remember the Hebrew youth that were being purified and fattened up for the king's court in Babylon, but they said, no, give us pulse, feed us something different. We don't want your dainties. And they turned out to be healthier and ruddier than all the rest of the Hebrews who took the food of their captors. Let's feed upon the word of God and not these lies. And the thing is, we have to have a mindset and a premise that they're lying to us. Well, Uncle Benny, you're just paranoid. Well, just because you're paranoid doesn't mean they're not trying to get you. That's a joke. I'm not paranoid. I'm a realist. And I've done my homework. And I'm experienced. Are you? Or are you just recoiling because you don't want to be afraid of what I'm saying? You'd rather be afraid of your normal fears and the way the world is in chaos and turmoil and uncertainty, and it's accidental. It's just fumbling, stumbling along, and accidental unfoldings of always bad stuff. They'll bring it to you on a plate, silver platter even. And it'll keep getting in higher and higher definition, and the televisions get cheaper and cheaper, so you can really get your nose in it. Let's get down to the real nitty gritty. But the Lord sends salvation and gives joy to all his people. Not Lucifer. He keeps people from salvation and gives them despair. Let's recognize the difference. But God's declared you and me perfect in his eyes through Christ. He's always cared for you in all of your distresses. And I'm here to tell you, my witness and mine. And he set you apart for himself, you who are redeemed through Christ. And if you're not sure you're not, call upon him now and he will hear you. Call upon him while you can. Call upon him in your heart of hearts, or even open your mouth. Go somewhere private. Go somewhere, a park bench, in your car, wherever you are, in the bathroom, at work. Put yourself in a stall, shut the door. If you have to whisper or even just silently ask the Lord, say, I heard what he was saying and he's right and I'm feeling it. Lord, please help me be sure of my salvation. And he'll listen to you and he'll answer you when you call and he'll keep you safe and deliver you from sin and death. Your God hates evil deeds and evildoers. He abhors all murder and deception. And he protects you and me through his mercy and his love. And he promises, he has many, many promises to lead us and guide us. Bless the godly man or woman. And we're not godly in and of ourselves. We're godly through Christ. Do you get that? You can't earn it. There's no stairway to heaven. There's no steps you take as far as you do this, that, and the other thing. Not really. He'll bless you and he'll protect you with his shield of love all the days of your life. And in the end, and even as we walk this day, the evil will bow before the good and the wicked at the gates of the righteous. We need not be afraid. The righteous are bold as a lion, and don't be ashamed of the name of Christ. Don't be ashamed to speak it in the center of town or wherever, or identify with the Lord, with Christ. Don't be afraid. For the wicked will soon be cut down like grass and wither as the green herb. And it's true. And pray for them. Pray for these government people. Pray for Matt Drudge. Pray for the deceivers. Pray for the ones that were taught to revile, whether it's those who want to revile Donald Trump or those who want to revile Hillary Clinton, for example, whatever, or the Epsteins of the world. Christ didn't come into the world to condemn the world. He came into the world to save sinners. Let us look at our fellow man and woman. If we're walking around and we see people who maybe have different circumstances than ours, whether they're physical, whether it's illness, birth defects, disease, maybe they've been stricken with something, whether they're economically stricken or even by their own choice have made a mess of things in their life. Remember, Christ loves them. He came into this world. He died for them. And if it was none other, he would have died for them alone. He's willing that none should perish. And let's look upon them as a Mephibosheth, as his brother, as like Jonathan's brother or nephew or son or whoever. Mephibosheth was lame. And he was invited to the king's table. You'll have to look up that story and read it. Mephibosheth. But let's humbly esteem every man greater than ourselves, okay? Be a servant to all. Now, that's not to say you give yourself away, that you let people abuse you, trodden over you, I mean, come on. Got to have boundaries. You've got to be wise. All right, so there's our sort of message of this morning. I think we're ready, don't you? Americans say they can't afford a vacation. Wait a minute. Hold on. Back up to I thought things were going great. Oh, red letter version. Yields flash recession warning, ! Bank stocks sink. Here's our downward chart. This wasn't yesterday this article was over here in this column, and even the little image, and it wasn't a big deal. Why was this kicked to the top and glorified in red? Goosed up or goosing you up. So while you're selling, they're buying. Think about that. Greenspan, remember Alan Greenspan, says no barrier to treasures falling below 0%. Now, how many people even know what that really means? 30-year yield, record low. Trump 2020 Rust Belt pitch threatened by manufacturing recession. Wait a second, I thought there were less unemployment than ever before. This was just, in the last weeks we've heard stuff like this. Cognitive dissonance. Up and down. Back and forth. Well, what do you expect? Expect any truth out of them? Who are the headlines serving today? It's a great question to ask. Who are they serving today? Who benefits? Whatever the headline is. Okay, so mortgage debt record eclipses 2008 peak. Federal spending sets new record. Talked about this yesterday. I pulled up the debt clock. I also said we need an abortion clock. How about that? It's 1,800, I think 1,800 potential human beings in this country alone, minus 3 states that we don't have reporting for. Pretty accurate number. Around 1,800 are being destroyed every day in a woman's womb who is either poor, downtrodden, she's bought into the culture's lies and has been promiscuous or premarital, she's been with someone that isn't going to stick around and be a father to her baby, and she was impregnated. And now there's something to deal with. Is she going to become a mother to a baby that the father is gone in the wind, right? And why is this? And she doesn't have the money. This is a hypersexualized culture through the media, through the music, through your Miley Cyruses, through your Britney Spears of the world, through your Justin Biebers, through your Cosmo magazine, through your 17 magazine, through your Fox News, by the way. Yeah. Oh, you don't think that they make those women look like, they get them, their makeup is, well, I'm gonna back off that. You know what I'm saying is that this is a hypersexualized culture. The entertainment shows, from sitcoms to rated R movies, are all about titillation, scintillation, prurient, lasciviousness, promiscuousness. Everybody's doing it. And, people end up sometimes pregnant quite a bit, I guess, and they got to deal with that. And then also people's faith is being destroyed. They don't have any faith that they're going to make it. The Lord going to provide for me? Am I going to be okay? Am I going to be okay and content without having the things I thought I was going to have in life? But now I'm going to have less because I've got to finance this pregnancy. Do you see how it all works together? It all works together and ends in death. It ends in destruction. It ends in despair and sorrow. And who's perpetrating it? Well, those who are serving that beast, that creature, Lucifer. Okay. Mortgage debt record. Stocks performed under each president. Okay. Macy's, 48% drop in profit. It's all negative today. So let's move on from that. Watching football is good for you, scientismists discover. I said scientismists. Yes, I did. It's a religion. They're religionists. Many of them. Beware of that. Scientismists discover fans get a cardio workout similar to a 90-minute brisk walk. Okay, so we are finding justifications for bread and circuses. Look at these, folks. What's missing in this picture? Doritos and lots of beer cans and alcohol. Obviously this is a modeled picture. But the upshot is that it's good for you. It's good for you to be a big sports fan. I've talked about it now and again, but I was just talking, that's kind of nasty. I don't want to see that inside of somebody's mouth, scraping things out. But anyway, they found ways to build the data that it's good for you. There's good stress and bad stress. Well, okay, there you go. If you really love your football idols, you really love spending the time keeping track of the scores, if you really love talking about it with those kind of meaningless and pointless conversations year after 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 year. How many years is that? Probably less than 10. But how long have you been doing it, son? Since high school? Talking about the Cubs, the Bears, the Cardinals, the Colts, the Lakers. Have I hit? Yeah, I guess I hit football, baseball, and basketball. I don't know. You're talking about them, talking about the individual players, the picks of the year. That's substance. Redeem the time, for the days are evil. Leftist protest is down in, I think, Fort Lauderdale. Threatened contractors in Florida. Day before ICE facility shot at in Texas. Nice language here. The journalism. This is even Breitbart. Day before ICE facility shot at in Texas. Now, I'm no English major, but that ain't right. Day before ICE facility fired upon might be a better choice of words, I think. Anyway, got to have a little fun here. John Bender, he came up in another article. I don't remember the context. We talked about him before. Excuse me. A group of Open Borders activists threaten employees of a government contractor in Florida that provides facility space for ICE, which is the Customs and ICE Immigration Enforcement. They're the ones who round them up and box them up and ship them out, if not that often, apparently. Usually catch and release. But they're vilified. So look at this bullet hole in this office window. This is in San Antonio, Texas. FBI saying it's a targeted attack. We don't know who shot it. That's something to think about. Things aren't always what they seem. That's kind of weird. Look how big that hole is in this picture. Oh, that's pretty big there, I guess. Yeah, it's the same. It just kind of looked funny to me. So let's watch this little video. It's about 3 minutes long.
We know where all your children live. You have kids and you have kids and we know.
Okay, I gotta tell you, she's saying we know where, maybe the CEO of this guy, where he lives, where his children go to school. Now, this is just a smattering of people, probably during working hours. They probably don't have jobs. I'm just speculating. This gal's covering her face, doesn't want to show her identity. Kind of what the Antifa people do. But let's just listen and watch this, and there's a reason I'm showing this.
I know everything about you. No GEO, no KKK, no fascist USA.
The central thing that we mourn on Tisha B'Av is called Sinat Chinam, and that means faceless hatred. We mourn the...
Let's just examine this character. This is a female. Now, I don't know if she'd appreciate being called that. I don't know. But these are the days where that could have... She may want to be called a Z with an X or a Z. I don't know, but I would put high odds that that's a possibility. Not high odds that she is, but then she kind of dresses like a man. That's probably a man's shirt. This plaid shirt, button up, short sleeves. She's got on what I would say is a man's hat. Stylists may say differently. Fashionistas might say, oh, it's universal, unisex. Let me just put it this way. My gaidar's going off, if you know what that is. Now, what does that mean? What does that have to do with anything?
Sinat Chinam of GEO and everything that it stands for as part of the deportation machine. We are here to make noise. We are here to say, never again.
Never again.
Never again.
Never again.
Never again.
Never again.
The connection to our lovely GEO Group is that they operate the Broward Transitional Center. The Broward Transitional Center is where the innocent homestead children get taken when they age out. And for their 18th birthday, they give them the great gift of shackles. And they get taken to Broward Transitional Center. Shame on you, GEO!
Shame on you!
These are politically motivated attacks. We have been a services provider to the federal government for over 30 years.
Now, it's interesting to note that his name is Pablo Paez. Now, I don't think that's Russian or Eastern European or French or Anglo-Saxon or Norwegian. I kind of think that might be a name that you might find either in Spain, maybe Portugal, or south of the border. This guy, typically the people crashing the border, the majority are Hispanic. Oh yeah, don't mistake, there are Africans and Middle Easterners coming through, record numbers, but the majority are going to be Hispanic. So they're familial to him somewhere along the line. Now think about that.
The fact is that the services we provide in our facilities today are in no way different than the high-quality professional services under the same standards that we provided for 8 years under President Obama's administration. So where was the outrage then?
When immigrant bodies are under attack, what do we do? When immigrant bodies are under attack, what do you do?
Abolish what? Abolish hate! Abolish what? Abolish hate! Abolish what? Abolish hate!
We've seen a pattern of politically motivated attacks against private sector companies, and that includes attacks on banks and financial institutions that support private sector companies that provide services to ICE. This is an effort to attack private sector companies to impact public policy by bypassing the policy-making and political process. Well, this protest is part of a broad, dishonest movement that is based on politically motivated attacks and outright lies about the services that our company.
Now, you may not have noticed this, but do you see this square back here with the flag in it, the stars of the United States flag? This is presumably the man's office. You get one of these flags when a family member dies or is killed in service. A family member who was in one of the armed forces dies overseas or dies, maybe dies naturally, but they are often honored. The family's presented with a flag folded by soldiers, especially if they had I don't know if it's every soldier, I don't know, but I know I received one from my father because there was a detail graveside, that fired shots or folded the flag ceremoniously, So this man, do with that information you want. It's a data point, okay?
Company provides. And unfortunately, these lies have led to the endangerment of our employees, government employees, and the public.
David Ventura!
Quit your job!
We know all your children live throughout the country. John Bolfin, you have kids in you have kids in we know everything about you, and you won't just be seeing us.
Okay, this character is saying, you have kids in this place, kids in there. We know where you go to church. We know everything about you. You won't be just seeing us here. It's tantamount to a threat. And you'll hear more as she goes on. Now, you may say, well, this isn't a big deal. There's only 15, 20 people here? This is just one city in the United States. And I'm here to tell you that you could call these early days, but these groups, these people are being multiplied. They're being bred effectually. I don't mean genetically. I mean, sort of. They're being bred. They're being raised. They're being created. They're lost souls who are manipulated, and they believe a lie, and they have enough rebellion in their own hearts themselves. They are believing what they're doing is good. So this would be a case of, and I don't know enough about that man, or the man she's talking about, I believe is the guy we were hearing speak. Bible say, for they being ignorant of God's righteousness, they go about to establish their own righteousness and have not submitted themselves into the righteousness of God. Now that is, the context of that has an application here, but it's not speaking directly to this, but it definitely has an application. These people believe they're doing good. They believe they're doing right. They've got feelings, whereas everyone else doesn't. They feel for these quote-unquote refugees. They feel for the families. The children are separated from the families, which has been made much ado about. But, if someone gets arrested for beating their wife, they're separated from their wife and children. Someone gets arrested for robbing a bank, they're separated from their children. What's the difference? They're lawless. They come in the country breaking the law. And, if you're sitting there and you're like one of the people who bleeding hearts about this, you are really, 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 I'm glad you're offended. I hope you're offended at me. And I cannot change your mind, and I would not try to waste my time. But I'm here to tell you that, I kind of wash my hands of you. You're so lost and you're so dumb. You have no idea what's going on in the world. Literally. You have no idea which way's up or which way's down. You don't. You might want to call an Uber to get anywhere today because you don't know where you're going. You don't know where things lead you. You don't know the rules of the road. You don't know why there's laws for speeding and stop signs and turn signals and this kind of thing. You don't know anything. Extrapolate that out or, reduce it to that. You need to call an Uber because you're lost and you don't know, you shouldn't be behind the wheel of anything. How about that? Yeah, it's so ridiculous. Anyway, these are your kind. These are your kind of people, I guess. Let's watch.
Here.
We know where you sleep at night. We know what kind of dog food you buy your dog.
We know where you sleep at night. We know what kind of dog food you buy. You know, what is this supposed to mean? What is that implying, right? They've ferreted him out. They've stalked him. We've seen these kind of people go to, even if, listen, it doesn't matter. I don't even have to be an American to find the error in this. I don't even have to be a fan of, for example, Mitch McConnell when they're standing outside his home threatening him. These kind of people. And the police are allowing it. There's a bigger thing going on where these things are being allowed to fester. Why? Well, I've talked about it, and you see it in the news. It's in your face all the time. There is a day coming that if there could be a civil war on the scale of our former civil war in the United States, where brother's killing brother, where we have a genocide similar to Rwanda, they'd have it tomorrow if they could. Why? Well, let them kill each other. It's easier than killing them ourselves because we have to do it slowly in ways that are imperceptible to the Goyim. But if we can get them to turn on each other, if we can keep them divided, it makes our work a lot easier. And maybe it's fun for them. I don't know.
We're not actually joking. John Bolford, you go to church and you live on road. We're not joking.
So she said twice she's not joking. She mentions where, so-and-so goes to church. The tone is obviously because her mouth is full of cursing, just like the wicked. The wicked's mouth is full of cursing.
It's incredibly reckless. The safety of our employees is our top priority, and we will do whatever it takes to ensure that their safety and their security remains our top priority.
Now, just like I talked about the gun control, the gun grab, it doesn't have to be a mass, everyone come turn in your gloves. That's sort of a phantom. That's a fantasy. That's a paranoid fantasy in a sense that they're going to go door to door and take everyone's guns. That's not going to happen. They don't care about that. Now, it may happen in pockets. It happened in Hurricane Katrina, where people actually, I'm sure some died because they had been disarmed. And I saw, there's one where, an elderly woman, she's staying there through the flood. She's seen many of these hurricanes and she's not leaving, and she's going to be fined because of looters and this and that, because the police were trying to get her to evacuate. And she just showed them her pistol. They punched her in the jaw. She was like in her late 70s, maybe her 80s. They grabbed at the gun and punched her in the jaw and knocked her to the ground. Jackboots. That's what's coming. Here and there. Whether it's a Boston bombing deal and they declare basically we're coming in your house looking for these Sarnoff brothers. Okay, come on in. You don't need to have a search warrant. Well, I want to comply. I want to help you boys out as much as I can. They're going door to door, going through people's houses and drawers and cabinets and looking in the closets. Wow. And the dumbing down of America has made people go along with that. And those are also trial balloons. They do it here, they'll try it again somewhere else. And it's going to happen. It's happening. It's going to happen. So what am I getting at is that now these activists are, whatever the topic is, it could be whatever the subject is du jour, okay? Whatever fits the political climate, they're being emboldened, empowered, allowed. There's going to be bloodshed. Now, is it going to be an outright, they're going to be organized and going to start going in the suburbs and killing people, conservatives and white people and Christians and all this kind of stuff at a wholesale slaughter. No. And it doesn't have to be that? No. But it happens in pockets, happens here and there. It just continues. New laws are made. I mean, it just, it's a rot. And rot happens kind of slowly, but it's rotten nonetheless. And the ones who need to be, or it's not that everyone needs to be killed. If you can kill several people, kill key people, and have the rest of them cowered in fear, giving up their rights or giving up their identity, being afraid to speak out, being afraid to be a Christian, being afraid to wear their, and again, I'm not a Trumpster. You know, if you've listened to any of my videos, you know the things I say. I may have an opportunity even yet to say something about it. But the fact is that you can't go anywhere wearing a red MAGA hat without the danger of one of these yahoos either physically assaulting you or harassing you, or if you're in a restaurant, not serving you, making a scene. Yeah, they may get in trouble, but they'll do it. What a horrible, that's not right. And it's getting to where people cower in fear. You know, just they don't want to be hassled. Anyway, so enough about that. Remember, the evil will bow before the good, and the wicked at the gates of the righteous. Righteousness will prevail. The Lord's in control. He sits in the heavens and laughs. He holds them in derision. Okay? And a day is coming. Whether it's today in a car accident or a heart attack or a stroke, or whether it's 5 years from now, or whether you're a victim of one of these shootings or whatever, or you die of old age, or you live until the Lord splits the sky open, it isn't that long. It's coming. It's going to happen. We need to remind ourselves of this and encourage each other in this every day. I know I need it. Do I like saying it? Do I like saying, "Oh, maybe you'll die today"? No, I don't. I want to live a long and happy life. There's a lot of things I feel unfulfilled. I want to do, see, do and go see, and but remember, this world is passing away, and there are pleasures at his right hand forevermore, Bible say. We've only had a glimpse. All right, so here's here I do have an opportunity here to give you Trumpsters, ever Trumpers, something to chew on and think about, putting your sprinkle on your cornflakes. Almost 4 trillion. So 3,727,000,000,000, 14 million. Federal spending sets record through July. Treasury runs 866 billion, 812 million deficit. Well, wait a minute. I thought Trump's this great businessman, right? That's what you've been told. But how many times did he file bankruptcy? How many times did he go bankrupt? He started out with money he didn't earn. He got like $10 million, which, hey, that's great. That's what I've heard anyway. His father gave him $10 million to get started. Good on him. I'm all for, that's great. But the point is that apparently he, lost that money somehow. He himself has gone bankrupt many times. I don't know all the details about that. I don't mean to be talking out of turn, but my point is the borrower's servant to the lender. Cash on the barrel, Pa always say. From that's what Laura Ingalls said in Little House on the Prairie. And there is a place to borrowing money, and there's a place, the righteous are to be the lender, not the borrower. So there's a place for lending and borrowing, but there's also a point where it becomes slavery, where it becomes out of control. And there you go. TS13 an hour ago wrote, they've been busy creating the perfect excuse to kill Social Security and Medicare, and here it is. Who's in charge of the purse strings? Who doubled the debt we have to carry the interest on? Social programs need deep, deep cuts. We can't carry all of these illegals pulling down the system. President's the ultimate decision maker. Trump voters are the most naive people I've ever met in my life. And now, after all this, they can't admit they were fooled and conned by a con man. Hey, you know what? Is that you? Were you? I've actually know some very intelligent people who actually promoted him. I'm talking their media people, not probably I'm not going to say their name, but they really were trying to help him get elected. And then a couple months into it, they had to face the facts, and they actually were honest about it and said, he's told so many lies. He's a liar. I don't know, what is it, 32 months now? Has it been 2 months I've been saying? It's been 30 months. He's been in the office. Let's see, 12 months is a year, 24 months is 2 years, 6 months is half a year, so that would be 30 months. If you're a rocket scientist, is 2.5 years. And I was been saying that for weeks now, because that was a news article. 30 months, and there's like 100 feet of wall or something. There's like a backyard fence from Lowe's, about 20 feet of it. Come on. Wise up. Wakey, wakey. Come on, sunshine. Face the bad news. Let's face it together. He's one of them. There's no swamp draining going on. There's no Hillary's going to jail going on. And, may I be wrong. That's fantastic. But let's deal with reality as it is today, okay? Those of you who think or believe are going to grab onto the Jeffrey Epstein's in the witness protection program because they're going to use him to bring down the cabal, I hope you're right. But it don't make sense to me. Lowest odds that he killed himself. The next highest odds would be, well, they're probably neck and neck. He was murdered or he's been spirited away or never was there in the first place. Walked in the front door and out the back. It's a big shell game. Why? There's lots of reasons. I talked a little bit about it before. I'm one of those quote-unquote thinkers you've heard so much about. Trump voters actually thought that he was going to get rid of debt, build a wall, and get Mexico to pay for it. I didn't even read all this. Get Mexico to pay for it. Oh, and he has now told over 12,000 lies. So I don't know where that figure comes from, but if you've told 12,000 or you've told 12, never forget that, brothers and sisters, that when you lie to someone, getting that trust back is extremely hard. I don't know where 12,000 comes from, but let's say Trump told 12 lies. What do you do with that? What if he lied to you as a voter, supporter, as the American public? He told 12 lies to you. Political type lies for his own advancement, to deceive you, to get your support. Not even national security issues. I can't say this about it, so I have to say this cover story. I'm not even talking about that. Think it through. Okay, I'm hoping there's a ever-Trumper or somebody watching this right now who's right now just ready to click me off and write a nasty comment. You need to hear this. Don't be deceived by these idols, by these people put in front of you that are your white hope, great white hope. I don't mean that in a racial way. Obama was somebody's great white hope. I don't even know where that expression comes from. I guess I should look it up. Trump voters are so gullible. I love it. Okay, well, so this is a partisan person. I don't rejoice in people that are deceived. This guy does. That's one of the things with that false paradigm, the false dichotomy of left versus right, us versus them, and it plays itself out. You're trained in it since kindergarten, playing kickball on the playground, and it very quickly ramps up into kitty football, kitty soccer, whatever, the competition, us versus them, the rallies. You have in high school, you have maybe even junior high. You have, junior high, I think we had them. What do they call them? We got spirit. Yes, we do. We got spirit. How about you? They would cut you out of class, take you to the gym, and have a school rally because of the game that night. It's disgusting. I wish my dad had the sensibility and the time and the awareness to come in there and said, "You're not taking my son out of class for this bullshit." And that's even making the assumption that being in class was that much better of a way of spending the time, All right, so let's just move on. No need to read the comments, even though it's fun. All right, so Americans apply. This is just something to comment on. Americans apply for jobs at Koch Foods after ICE raid. So there was an ICE raid. This might be Missouri, Mississippi. Okay, maybe that's where it happened. I know there was like hundreds. Fair was run after the August 7th removal of 243 alleged illegal invaders, not migrants. They're invaded, and they were here here against the law, taking jobs, taking who knows what else, even if they were quote unquote not causing problems. I was going to say law abiding, but not doing other things, not raping, robbing, burglarizing, things like that, breaking other laws. Let's just say they were here doing everything, just here to work and make some money and send all that cash back to their home country, spirited out of the country. 243 alleged illegal invaders and 2 of the company's chicken processing plants, according to local authorities. All right, so 25 to 30 people went to job fair because there's the company's, okay, I'm trying to scan too fast. The point being is that the area's unemployment is high and the wages are low. What about, wait a minute, I thought Americans were lazy. They don't want these kind of jobs. That's why these refugees, those poor and needy people, they're tired, they're broken, they're poor and needy, says Lady Liberty, that false goddess, who's not the Statue of Liberty at all. Look into that yourself. Americans apply for jobs. This title, by the way, on Breitbart, a conservative site, this title's kind of horrible. Why not make it more pointed? Americans apply for jobs that invaders had taken after they were removed by the authorities. I like that headline better. Maybe I should be an editor and get paid big bucks to work for Breitbart. Hey, Breitbart people, if you're seeing this video, look me up, because I can sit here and grade the papers sometimes of these faux journalists. They're phoning it in. Americans apply for much-needed jobs at Koch Foods after invaders lawfully removed by ICE. Non-text, what they're not saying. All right, this is the last one. All right, save the best for last. Look at this, kid. Justin Olsen. See that green outfit? What's he wearing? Some kind of Star Wars Han Solo vest? No. This looks like a bulletproof vest. Maybe wrong. Looks like they got him under some kind of, or a straitjacket. I don't know. But let's just take a look at this. Now remember the context. Context is, if you're a conspiracy theorist, conspiracy theories, read theorists, are America's new domestic terror threat. Well, okay, let me say it again. The Yahoo article and the Business Insider article are saying the FBI is classifying, are reporting, and they've determined that conspiracy theories are America's new domestic terror threat. Well, let's make that headline a bit more closer to the truth. FBI has labeled conspiracy theorists as America's new terrorists, domestic terrorists. I mean, that's a little closer to the truth, wouldn't you say? I would. FBI arrests Ohio teen, now this is important, for online threats. This is sort of important. And find 25 firearms, 10,000 rounds of ammo. Do you know how much a box of 30 shells costs? If you don't, next time you're in Walmart, now remember you had 25 firearms. I'm going to break it down in a minute. There's a bunch of rifles and a bunch of pistols. Let's just make it easy. Let's just say they're 22. Okay? Very common. Let's just say they're 22. It's more like squirrel shot. Yeah, it can kill people, but 22 caliber is small caliber. Let's just say it's 22. Go find out how much 100 rounds of 22 shells are. Multiply that by 1,000. Justin Olsen is 18 years old. He could legally work probably at 14. So in 4 years, making $8 an hour, going to school, where did he get the money for all this? Now, I'm making an assumption because it does sound like he was living at home. This stuff could have belonged to his dad, okay? But authorities allege that I love when I see that word, on one hand. On the other hand, sometimes published stories, someone's tried immediately, whether they're called allegedly or not. Just putting it out there, you maybe thought that as well. It's like, oh, another crazy. That guy's guilty. Well, we don't know. He may be totally innocent. He made online threats under the name Army of Christ. That's curious. Who does that implicate? Yeah, exactly. Are you picking up what I'm laying down? And again, this is just one little deal, but it's part of a bigger, hey, did this happen accidentally? Is this just like homegrown, organic story popped up? This is real news, real deal, real guy really did this. That's his real username. I don't really know. But I find it curious how things fall into key. Things are right in tune and, right on the downbeat. Boom. Okay? So we've got the potential after remember this. So if you are a conspiracy theorist, and we'll get into this in a second, you're a domestic terrorist. If you now we're post, and again, everyone's been mainlined. This whole country has been basically given the green light to be conspiracy theorists, and it's even being fueled. They are fueling it. It seems so organic and natural. Of course they are, because there is reasonable doubt and this kind of things. Yeah, okay. If you want to think it just, again, happens accidentally, fine. I'm a little more cynical than that. Let's just say that. Let's just say, yeah, I've got a problem. I'm a little cynical. That's fair enough. That's fine. If that makes you feel better. You might want to ask the fair question, how did I get that way? And am I a reasonable man? And am I, well, anyway, my point being is that then we had those very questionable shootings in California, El Paso, Texas, and Dayton, Ohio. I mean, very successively. August 1st, the article from the FBI. August 2nd, I think, was the Garlic Festival deal. The next weekend was the other two, something like that. And here we are this week. Your idol, your president, Decepticon Donald Trump, comes out and says, basically, we need swift justice. We need powers for pre-crime, for thought crime arresting and removal and raiding and, getting the guns out of their hands. And then, boom, here you go. They roll out Exhibit A. Hey, maybe it happened organically. They do say that they've been working this case a while. Let's take a look at it. Boardman, Ohio, Justin Olson was living. They recovered 15 rifles and 10 semi-automatic pistols and roughly 10,000 rounds of ammunition, according to a criminal complaint written by FBI Special Agent Themistocles Sarnas and seen by NBC News. So NBC News, that's who's reporting this, saw the report. Olson wrote under the name Army of Christ. How convenient, because who does that implicate? People paint Christians with a broad brush. Doesn't even matter if you're, Episcopalian to Roman Catholic or independent or Pentecostal. If you're name the name of Christ or or affiliated any way with that, you might be, to many of these people, one of those crazy Christians, the right-wing gun owner, gun-toting, NRA-loving, responsible for all the gun violence in the world and stuff like that. He was charged Monday with one count. Now remember this is important too. One count of threatening to assault a federal law enforcement officer, singular, very important. Now, I will say, because I read through the article, I think I read it through thoroughly, this was not reported in here, but they reported other things that don't line up, which again is a tell. It's suspicious. Army of Christ discussed supporting mass shootings and assaulting or targeting of Planned Parenthood, according to Sarnas. Assistant Mahoning County prosecutor decided authorities had to act swiftly on threats in the wake of recent mass shootings. Okay, there we go. So they've tied it into, here we are, following through on what we said we're going to do. Did they act lawfully? I don't know. We'll have to follow this case to find out, but it isn't important. It's one of those things where it's just like when in court somebody blurts something out and the judge instructs the jury to disregard it. And everybody's a little uncomfortable and upset. It shouldn't have been said. It could be influential. It was inappropriate. It was threatened the justice of the procedure, and the judge has to bang the gavel and silence the person who blurted out whatever they blurted out or said what they said, whether they were on the stand or came from the one of the tables on the prosecutorial or maybe in the gallery, who knows? And the judge has to turn to the jurors and say, you are to disregard that information. Well, can they? Just like in the Manson trial, Charles Manson held up a paper which said Nixon declares Manson guilty or something like that. I can't remember if there was a mistrial on that or not, but either way, let's just say they continued. They had to instruct the jury not to consider that. But didn't that have an effect, right? So what am I trying to say? Whether this guy, whether the authorities acted lawfully on quote-unquote threats, again, we're being told they're threats. Don't know. Why don't we see them? They showed us other thing he said. I'm going to show you in a second, but we don't see real threats. Now, I would say what he's saying is a bit concerning, but they raided his house, took all the guns, took him away. Looks like they put him in a straitjacket. I don't think he's done anything. Remember, now this is something else to juxtapose this again. The El Paso shooter looked like he was arrested for jaywalking. One little guy who's kind of handling him, but he just killed all these people and would have killed a whole lot more. Ran out of ammo apparently because he only had 30 rounds, but even though like over 50 people were, shot and killed and injured, which kind of cognitive dissonance. Where did that story go? Why isn't that being like talked about in the news? There's a problem with this story. They don't talk about it because they're complicit. They're not looking for the facts. They're looking for narratives. They're looking to control your feelings about things. Never make no mistake. But that guy had no straitjacket. Remember, I made points back then in the videos saying, look, there's a guy, random guy right there. He could have been a relative of somebody just shot. We heard about witnesses saying my mother was gunned down in front of me, or I saw her on the floor. She was dead. She'd been shot. That guy could have come up and broken his neck, ripped his throat out, stabbed him. With the officer holding the guy by the cuffs, it could have happened very quickly. That can happen. No bulletproof vest, no surrounding of a little detail to kind of protect him as they get him whisked away into custody. Just out in the open, casual. It was very casual. Yet this guy, unless that's some kind of weird gaming outfit, strange outfit, it does look like it's some kind of vest, doesn't it? It does look like it's for a purpose, not decoration. Now think about the juxtaposition between that and that El Paso shooter who actually did kill people. And he was hanging around among the victims, unguarded practically, unprotected. So that user wrote online that he supported the Oklahoma City bombing in 1995. Really, he's 18 years old? He's dug back that far into history and read and studied up on that? All the while working enough, make enough money to afford 15 rifles, 10 semi-automatic pistols, and 10,000 rounds of ammo? Moreover, all under the nose of his father? How'd he hide all that stuff? Or his dad fueling? I don't know. Again, I don't know. I'm just saying we think about this critically. Hell, even the Oklahoma, this is the thought crime guy. That's what I'm calling him right now. Maybe he'll find something to change my mind. Hell, even the Oklahoma City bombing show. Remember, we're in the context of what's just happened. What Trump is saying, he wants to make the law of the land for due process of thought criminals and those who are deemed mentally whatever, and they shouldn't have guns. We're going to take them away as fast as possible. And if they are, they do anything with, we're going to execute them as fast as possible. And they lumped conspiracy theorists in there, by the way. Talked about that very subtly. And this happens. Context, right? Makes you ought to be holding this at arm's length, thinking, what the hell is this going on here? Well, just like saying something influential in the jury or to the jury that needs to be disregarded, this doesn't matter if he never gets charged, this doesn't pan out, if nothing happens with this, boom, it normalizes this kind of behavior, which seems a little bit weird to me, but maybe we're not given all the facts, okay? Always that plausible deniability. Oh, there's stuff that we can't tell you because it would affect the case. Even the Oklahoma City bombing shows that armed resistance is a viable method of political change. There is no legal solution, Army of Christ wrote on August 6th. That's just a few days ago, according to the complaint. In conclusion, shoot every federal agent on sight. That's not a nice thing to say. It is a little troubling and alarming, but is it really a threat? Think about this. Or is he analyzing this situation, the bombing, and he's seeing that, well, that's really only what's effective is actual bloodshed, and he's stating the fact. Or he's saying in a way that's maybe not well-formed, shoot every agent on sight. If you are someone who's going to do this, this is not saying I'm going to shoot every agent on sight. I encourage you, my brothers and sisters of this resistance, to shoot every agent on sight. That's different, isn't it? Yeah, this is unseemly. This is troubling. But is that enough to go raid someone's house and yank them out? I've seen people in comments say a lot of things that are threatening. What happens to them? Are they even looked at? People show up at their door, see what they're packing? Maybe they will now. But I'll tell you what, I've seen them make direct threats to either other commenters or political figures, and comments sometimes even don't get deleted by the moderators or the news site or whatever. You would think that they're going to offer you their best. They're quoting the guy. Give us something that actually shows he threatened. Oh, sure, everyone who reads this at first blush, it almost reads like he's going to shoot federal agents, doesn't it? Is that what it really means, though? Well, we'll hear what he has to say about it. Agents raided his place of residence, describing in the complaint as his father's home. So again, are these weapons all his dad's? I don't know. Maybe he had a .22 rifle that his dad gave him, and an air gun or something like that, and his dad has a gun collection. I don't know. But the headline is 25 guns, 15 rifles and 10 pistols, and 10,000 rounds of ammo. It makes it look like the authorities, just because of their new mandate to, if they have any social media indication of a thought crime of somebody who might be dangerous, we're going to kick in their door and take all their guns and whisk them away and put them in a straitjacket. I mean, is that a straitjacket or a bulletproof vest? I don't know, but it's something. I don't think he put that on. I don't think that's his nightgown. Okay? All right. Can you give me that? On August 7th, so a day later, they kicked in his door. I don't know if they waltzed up and said, oh, we have a warrant. We'd like to search your house. Is your son at home? Or did they come in a guns a-blazing? I don't know. Hut, 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 swatted him. On August 7th, and found a large number of guns and bullets throughout the house and in a gun vault in Olson's room. Now, it doesn't say Justin Olson. Maybe his dad's name's Olson, too. And, reporting, sometimes they get confused. But it doesn't matter. The damage is done. So it sounds like this kid, I'm calling him a kid on purpose, this child. Well, he's a man now, right? He's 18. He just has a boyish face. Gun vault in his room. Well, where was his room? In the basement? A lot of people have a gun vault in their basement, perhaps. Or did he have it makes it look like he had a bedroom, and a prominent feature in the room was one of those, looks like a safe or something. It's a gun vault, Here, we got more here. Olson allegedly told agents that his writings were only a joke. Olson also characterized his comments as a hyperbolic conclusion based on the results of the Waco siege, where the ATF slaughtered families. Now, this is remarkable. 18 years old, working his tail off to afford 10,000 rounds and 25, weapons. Let's say they cost $100 a piece. Okay, $2,500, 10,000 rounds. Yeah, I guess in 4 years, working minimum wage, he could mowing lawns, he could pull that together. But he would have had a vision for that, or he's just one heck of a frugal kid, a big saver. But I'm being very conservative, $100 a piece for these. You know how much guns cost? They ain't cheap. Neither is ammunition. But he uses words like a hyperbolic conclusion based on the results of the Waco siege, where the ATF slaughtered families. This is like the El Paso manifesto. It's like, yeah, maybe a very bright young man. Maybe he through YouTube and whatever, watched documentaries, he got turned on this stuff. Okay, sure. Could happen. But then again, timing, context, subtext, non-text. We're very curious timing. A message seeking comment was left with Olson's attorney. Agent seized his guns. Read it like that. Agent seized the online poster's guns. Read it like that. Agent seized the 18-year-old social media enthusiast, free speech enthusiast. I don't know. Again, is that really threatening? It's very, very foolish to say something like that. But the fact that this happened on saying something like this, we don't know the context of this sentence. In conclusion, shoot every federal agent on sight. He may have been talking about if you are, he may have been analyzing someone who is acting as a revolutionary or resistance, and what happens if they aren't, they aren't as efficient or effective. I mean, he may have just been clinically analyzing it. In conclusion, shoot every federal agent on sight. So if someone, we don't know. See my point? We don't know. We don't know that he's saying he's going to shoot. Now, you can say, well, obviously they wouldn't have arrested him if they didn't have other information or evidence that showed that he made a threat. They're not going to arrest him, without having a case. Oh, yeah? You think? Well, maybe you're a statist. Maybe you're gullible. Maybe you don't know how mind control works. This article right here that's worth the price of admission for this whole situation, really. NBC News. This isn't even Breitbart. This isn't Drudge Report per se. It's maybe featured on there, but it's not Drudge Report. This is NBC News. Had the story. They're the ones that, quote unquote, saw the document of the report, the case. How's it characterized here? Yeah, I'm really drilling into this. That's right. A complaint, criminal complaint. That's what I'm saying. They saw it. NBC News saw it, brings it to you, and they reported it. This is the official story of what happened, and it's worth the price of admission just to have this story, because we're going to do this, and we're following through and doing this, and it's okay to do this. So if you talk rebellion, if you talk revolution, we'll come and take your guns, take you away, put you in a straitjacket, and make ruin your life. If this is even a real person, again, don't know. Not saying it isn't. He may have said other things. He may have said before the sentence that he was going to on, I don't know, next month or something, he's going to do this, and he's not going to do it the way these other people failed, and he didn't want his family being slaughtered, and in inclusion, he needs to shoot every federal agent in sight. He may have said that. I don't know. But that's really the best. This is the cream of the crop. You would think they'd select the best, unless they're trying to manipulate you. Why would they give you something out of context? It's out of context. We don't know the context. Do you? No, you cannot tell me you know the context of the statement. Stand alone, it sounds pretty ominous. If I was a federal agent, that'd bother me. If I was a federal agent, doesn't know the context or anything, it'd still bother me. It's like, geez, glad they got him off the street. Who knows? He might have showed up at my office. And maybe he would have. I don't know. I seriously don't know. But let's keep it simple. What's the context of this? What's the timing of this? Yeah, exactly. Agents raided his place of residence. Okay, I already read that. It's only a joke. A message seeking comment was left with the attorney. They seized all this stuff. Okay, here's where we left off. Olson is still in custody and scheduled to make an appearance in the U.S. District Court in Youngstown on Friday. So today's Wednesday. Okay, well, are we going to hear more about this? Well, are we hearing about El Paso and Dayton and the garlic thing anymore? And that actually involved shoot-em-ups and national outrage and political wrangling after that about disarming people and gun control and regulations and all this kind of stuff. And we're not hearing much about that. This is vaguely related, in my opinion, based on what I was telling you. But we're not hearing much. Where's this story going to go? Or are we going to have a few more of them, like on the regular? Drip, 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 you know, once every 3 or 4 weeks. Get another crazy through our broad powers, we were able to, you know, rendition. That's the word for rounding somebody up and taking them away for questioning, torture, whatever. You'll have to look that word up. It's been a while since I looked up. But that's what they use, a term for they rendition someone, is they spirit them out of the country. They take them somewhere else for questioning and detainment and getting intel. Rendition. Let me, I hate when I maybe don't have a full handle on a word. Let's just look it up because I use it. Oh yeah, here we go. I thought this would be a 30-minute video of just encouragement, and I only had 3 or 4 link articles open, and guess what? I bet we're at over an hour. All right. Rendition. Act of rendering something. Surrender. Well, there's a modern version now, and let's see if we see it. Usually they'll tell us why people wanted to look it up. What made you want to look it up? Let's see what people say. I know I first heard it in the context of, you know, all the things that the United States was doing with prisoners of war. Even though the Senate Intelligence Committee 2014 of the CIA rendition, detention, and interrogation program concluded that the torture techniques did not help save lives. So you get the idea. You know, it just has to do with taking someone away and holding them. Anyway, I'm not going to spend more time on it. There you go. There's the article, and there's definitely something about this with the timing, the veracity of, you know, the information they're presenting as to how this is justified is, at first blush, looks like, oh, whew, boy, that got him before he did something horrible like Timothy McVeigh or, you know, Army of Christ. Maybe he's another wacko like the Waco. And I'm not saying that, what was his, I don't remember his name now. I know it, but I can't think of it. They painted him as basically making himself out to be Christ and all this stuff, when really it was a split off of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. And I'm not saying the guy didn't do anything wrong or he wasn't, but you know what happened there was really horrible. And it really is something as big as 9/11, and that's another story for another day. But the point is that at first blush, this looks like they just nipped something in the bud that could have been we have no idea the horror show that this guy was brewing into. Well, maybe so, but not so fast. I don't know. All right, that's enough. All right, don't get any on you. Don't get upset. Take a vacation. Doesn't cost a lot to camp. There are places you can camp for free. Get yourself back to nature if you can spare the time, and listen to a rippling brook, the wind in the trees, the birds waking early. Digital detox. Get off the news. Get off the media. Get off your unsocial media. Yeah, I'm going to start trying to use that. Like I try to use children for young people and very young people, not kids, which are goats. Language is super powerful, right? So it's called social media, but it's very unsocial, and it's also antisocial, depending on who and how you look at it. Depending on who you're talking about and how they use it, and also how you want to look at it. But unsocial is kind of a middle ground word. It's very unsocial. You think it through. All right, brothers and sisters, you make a great day.